Call me crazy, but I always found it weird that Gengar was a ghost poison type Pokemon. It makes absolutely no sense. All of its level up moves are either ghost or psychic type, and even when we look at its TM moves, it learns toxic? I mean, there's nothing on here that would suggest in any way, shape, or form that this Pokemon was meant to be a poison type. But of course, the developers decided to give it the ghost poison typing, probably for balance reasons, so that it would actually have some weaknesses as it goes through the game. But it raises a question. How good would this Pokemon be if it were simply a ghost psychic type and suddenly actually had same type attack bonuses as it went through the game? Well, today that's what we're going to test out with this ghost psychic type Gengar. Now, logically, the reason why they didn't make this Pokemon a ghost psychic type is because of balance. Because this typing is far more broken than it appears at first glance. In Generation 1, the only weakness of the Ghost type was Ghost, and Psychic only had 2 type weaknesses officially, Ghost and Bug. However, there was a glitch in Generation 1 that caused Psychic types to not be weak to Ghost, but rather to be immune to Ghost type moves. And because the Ghost typing resists Bug type moves, this Pokemon's only going to be neutrally affected by Bug. What that means is that a Ghost Psychic typing in Gen 1 would have no type weaknesses and 3 type immunities, potentially making this the single most broken Pokemon in the history of the franchise. But how will it work out in practice? Let's find out. So of course, Professor Oak is going to find this ghost psychic Gengar outside of town. He's going to assume it's just a trick from some kids on Halloween. And we're going to just go ahead and go into town and say, hey, trick or treat, give me that ghost psychic Gengar. And it's pretty clear that Professor Oak's just fed up with his grandson, so he obliges us. And that means that we're going to be able to take our Saigar and completely destroy this fight. Of course, Eevee as a normal type Pokemon can do nothing against us, and we're just spamming Nightshade, because remember, this is Gen 1, Nightshade can hit normal types. And with that fight in the books, we can simply progress in the game, and I don't expect us to have too much trouble for quite a while. And of course, the Caterpie at the end of Viridian Forest also only knows Tackle and String Shot, so it can do literally nothing against us, which means this is a guaranteed win, but this is basically just your standard Gengar run. Remember, you can get a level 100 Gengar before Brock in this version of the game. Gen 1 is truly broken when it comes to these ghost types. So now it's time to just come in and give Brocky Boy some nightmares. Let's see how easily we take him down with our Ghost Psychic type. So he leads off with his Geodude, which only knows the move Tackle, and it's slower than us, so we're pretty easily going to win here. I'm just going to spam the move Lick because we don't expect him to be able to do anything, and we'll take him down pretty darn quick. Out next comes the Onix. We're once again just going to confuse this Pokemon because we can. I'm using Lick because I want to paralyze it. So here he uses Bide. We're simply going to keep him confused. And once he hits himself in confusion, we can go back into a move like Nightshade. And just like that, we get through on the first attempt. We get to level 11 and 4 minutes 11 seconds to get through the Brock section with obviously no resets. There was never even a chance that we were going to lose any of those fights, and we can move on in the game. And in this next part, we have the advantage that we are going to resist all of the poison type moves because Ghost still is resistant to poison, and we're going to be immune to all of the normal type moves. Now, the only other reason that I could think of when I was thinking about this run of why they might have made this a Ghost poison type was to prevent Ghost from getting poisoned, because technically we could get poisoned here by a move like Poison Sting, which is kind of weird to think about. A Ghost being poisoned doesn't make any sense. In fact, Ghosts being hit by any sort of physical damage makes no sense, but, you know, it is the world of Pokemon. Still, the biggest challenge that we have here is just making sure that we have Nightshade for the normal types, since that's our only way to damage them. But these poison types, literally, aren't that scary. They really just can't do anything to us. So finally, Youngster Shorty and the last after Youngster Shorty are no problem in a run, and we simply make our way through this section with no difficulties whatsoever. The Super Nerd also gives us no difficulty because his Grimer can't do anything. We're just gonna lick Grime, and then out comes the Voltorb, more of the same. It only knows Tackle and Screech, so yes, it can lower our defense, but that's all it can do. Finally, the Coughing could hit us with Smog, which is effectively 10 base power here, so we're once again going to win this fight every time. So we can defeat the Super Nerd. We're going to grab Lord Dome, of course, because we always protect the Dome. And now it's time to take on Jesse and James, where we just have to make sure not to use up all of our Nightshade PP before the Meowth. Fortunately, we've got more than enough PP to get through this fight. And now that we've got the obligatory PP comment out of the way, we can just Nightshade on this Meowth. And Coughing can spam Smog, but it really doesn't matter. We easily win. Jesse and James go down, and we are on to Cerulean City. But now here in Cerulean is basically the first time that opponents can actually hit us for reasonable damage. We can be hit by Peck for some reason, in spite of the fact that we're a ghost. And of course, Misty has smart AI, so she's only going to use her water type moves against a ghost type Pokemon. That being said, we are going to take our rival on first, since he only has one of his 4 Pokemon that can actually hit a ghost, and we are going to have a pretty good advantage because he doesn't have smart AI just yet. So rival 2 attempt number 1, we are going to Nightshade on his Spearow. This is a 3-hit KO and he never attacks us. And now it's a guaranteed win because while yes, we could get sand attacked here, and we do get sand attacked here, the rest of his Pokemon only know normal type moves. The bigger issue is that we can only hit Eevee with Nightshade, and this is a 3-hit KO. So with all of the accuracy drops, we used up all of our Nightshades in the end, but we did just manage to knock him out without running out of PP. So we didn't have to do like that Ghost Parasect and use up all of our PP to go into struggle. Already we can tell that Saigar is 1,000 times better than a Ghost Bug Parasect. So now I'm just going to make my way across the Nugget Bridge. There's literally nothing that scares us in this section of the game. We're just going to make quick work of all of these Pokemon. And as we get to the end of this section, I've even gotten to the point where I'm just using Struggle just because I don't want to have to go back to the Pokemon Center. And fortunately, Struggle, being a normal type move, can knock out these Pokemon. And fortunately, we have just enough HP that we can knock out all of the Oddish Lass's Pokemon without fainting ourselves. So we're just going to come into Billy Boy's house. We're going to show him our Ghost Psychic Gengar. That is something that a Pokemaniac is absolutely very excited about. So he gives us a ticket to go to the SSN because he's just so happy that he saw this one. And after a quick heal, we can come and fight the Innocent Bystander, where we're just going to lick his Machop over and over again because yet again, it can't Karate Chop a ghost. And with that one going down, we will now go into Nightshade on the Drowsy. I'm going to confuse it just to hopefully get it to hit itself too, but we resist the move Confusion, so we don't even really care about that move. And we should be easily getting through this one with no damage whatsoever. But with all of that out of the way, I think it's finally time to go in and take on Misty's gym. We're all the way up to level 23. We're still on minimum battles. We're not fighting any optional trainers, but I don't think we need to. I think we're perfectly strong enough to get through this section. So let's see if we're Nightmare Fuel for Misty as well on this first attempt. So first things first, against Misty's Staryu, I'm going to confuse this Pokemon just to give it an extra chance to hit itself. It then goes for the Water Gun that did 6 damage, but we knock it out from there because it hit itself once in confusion. Out next is the Starmie. We are faster than this Pokemon, but remember, Lick cannot affect this Starmie because it is a Psychic type, so we have to use Nightshade here. Fortunately, we have such high special that Water Gun doesn't do much, and she X defends, so it's an easy victory as we get to level 24. 15 minutes to get through that just because we did all the trainers up north on the way. Still really not too bad. We're completely crushing the game at this point. Misty never had a chance. But now it's time to move on to rival number 3. This is the first time that he actually has smart AI, but I'm not too worried because he still has a team that includes a Rattata, a Sandshrew, and an Eevee that can't hit ghosts, so I think this is going to be insanely easy. Let's find out. So Rival 3 attempt number 1, I'm simply going to go Nightshade on his Spearow. This is a 2-hit KO. It hit us with a good peck, but that was it. And now the real issue is just that we had to recover PP and Nightshade in order to make sure we could knock these Pokemon out. But everything's looking like a 2 or at most 3-hit KO here because we're at such an advanced level. He is sand attacking us, which is a smart strategy, but it doesn't matter. We take him down. And with that done, we can get access to Cut, and we're going to go straight to Lieutenant Surge. We are not scared of this guy. Of course, Lieutenant Surge made his heyday on beating up on little kids and their Pokemon, but it's time for him to meet his match for this Halloween season. We are going to show him a Pokemon that is far too powerful. Let's just see how easy this actually is. So Lieutenant Surge attempt number 1, I didn't even bother to heal. He went for Mega Punch against a Ghost. Good job. Now he hits himself in confusion. He goes X speed, and we just need one more hit as he once again tries to Mega Punch us, and we take him down on the first attempt. 19 minutes 30 seconds, no resets, all easy peasy. And with that, we can move on. We've picked up the Thunderbolt TM, which could be very useful later on, and we can get our bike voucher, get our Squirtle, and make our way to the Rock Tunnel, where yet again, I don't think we have anything to worry about. This challenge doesn't really start until the mid-game. Once we get to Koga and Rival 5, I think we might start to have some semblance of challenge here, but until then, I think we're pretty much just cruising. And as we come into the Rock Tunnel, of course, one Pokemon that could usually be a little bit of trouble for a Gengar is this Cubone on the first Pokemaniac. However, because we have no weakness to ground type, we took, sure, 15 damage there from a Bone Club, but it doesn't really matter. Now we can only be hit by confusion from this Slowpoke, and because of the fact that we have Nightshade, we can easily get through that Pokemon and move on in the game. And for this one, I'm simply holding off on learning Thunderbolt because I don't think we need it at this point in the run. I want to keep it for Lorelei, where that move will actually be relevant. Until then, our current moveset is probably good enough. Now, it is worth noting that we do not resist grass here, so we are taking decent amounts of damage from this Lass in the Rock Tunnel, but Nightshade is enough to get us through that. And just like that, we can make it to the Rock Tunnel Hiker, who we're just kind of hoping he uses self-destruct. Because if he does, well then he's not going to be able to damage us and he's just going to knock his own Pokemon out. The only thing we don't want is a rock throw, but fortunately all 3 of his Pokemon blow up. So we get through, get to level 29, and we learn Hypnosis. So just like that, we've got another really good move on our moveset, since if we run into any major trouble anywhere, we can simply put Pokemon to sleep. And after just a little bit of housekeeping here in Celadon City, I think the best way to go is to go straight into the game corner, because we're not scared of anything here. They're basically free levels, and we should be able to progress through this section pretty darn quickly. So in the basement against Jesse and James, we're simply going to lick Coughing over and over again. Yes, this does put us at some risk of getting poisoned, but we want to keep the Nightshade specifically for the normal types down here. Meowth comes out, and this Pokemon looks to be a 2-hitter with Nightshade. Finally, we've got the Ekans, and we're just going to lick the snake, guys. Lick the snake. It's the easy way to get through this fight. And now we're ready to take on Giovanni himself, where he also is going to lead off with a Rock Snake, so we kind of know the strategy. We're going to confuse this one, and then we may as well just lick it. The problem is that this Pokemon knows Rock Throw, and Giovanni has smart AI, so he's only going to use that move against us over and over again. So we're actually taking decent damage here, but once we get through the Onix, nothing else on his team can even damage this Pokemon. So we're going to use confusion strats here on the Rhyhorn just to conserve PP, because we have used up all of our lick PP and we only have a couple PP left in Nightshade. So that took unnecessarily long just because we were waiting for it to knock itself out in confusion, so that we could still have 3 Nightshades here in order to take out this Persian. And with that, we get through Giovanni with no troubles whatsoever, and we are moving on this challenge. And now, of course, we have to take on Rival 4, who is just so much weaker here than he is in Pokemon Red and Blue. He's going to lead off with a Fearow, but the only move Fearow can really use against us is Mirror Move. So we're just going to put this Pokemon to sleep, and basically he's just not going to be able to do anything against us. So once we can, we're simply going to use Nightshade in order to knock this Pokemon out. It is a 3-hit KO. Out next comes the Magnemite. This Pokemon can hit a ghost with Sonic Boom for some reason, but once it's asleep, we can do like we did as kids and lick the magnets. And now we can come to Shelter, more licky licky on the clam. We'll just get through Sandshrew as quickly as possible with Nightshade in spite of the fact that it did use 1 sand attack on us. And now 3 Nightshades is enough to take out Eevee. So basically once you get through the Magnemite, there's no way that he can even damage you with any of his Pokemon there. And now we can take on these Chandlers where, unlike them, we can actually lick ghosts. Because you'll notice when he licked us, it did nothing because we're immune to ghost type moves as a psychic type, and yet we were able to easily knock out these Ghastlies with 1 or 2 hits of lick. So we're really just worried about being confused and hitting ourselves over and over again, but regardless, we're going to get through all of these ghosts pretty darn easily. And with that, it's just time to take on Ghosty Mama. Let's go ahead and get an easy victory here as well, where I'm just going to simply spam Nightshade because Bone Club will do decent damage here, but we can get through that fight in just a couple of turns. And now I'm just going to come to Jesse and James without healing because nobody needs to heal before Jesse and James. Obviously, the first Meowth can do nothing. We're simply going to spam the Nightshades. It did Screech, so technically Poison Sting could do more damage. I'm going to put this Arbok to sleep just to be safe. And once it's on low health, we'll just lick the snake, take it down. Weezing's out next. It can go to Sleepy Sleep, and this is going to be another 3-hit KO. Easy, easy victory. And just like that, we have made it to what I consider to be the middle game. Basically, everything up to this point is just kind of a cakewalk in a standard solo run. It's once you get to this point right here where you have to either take on Rival 5, Koga, or Erica that sometimes you can run into some troubles. Obviously, Rival 5 is going to be the first trainer that has a lot of moves that can actually hit a ghost, so he is probably the scariest of these trainers altogether. Fortunately, there are a couple of other fights that are available at this point, but I figured let's just try the Rival one time. Let's just see what the ranges actually look like here, and if we can find some way through. So Rival 5 attempt number 1, he leads off with a Sand Slash. And this Pokemon can hit us with Poison Sting. We definitely don't want to get poisoned here. So I'm going to put it to sleep and use the Nightshades in order to slowly whittle it down. He even uses a potion here on this Pokemon, but that's perfectly fine. We'll just take it out. Next is Cloyster. We are going to put this Pokemon to sleep. And this is another Nightshade spot. I'd like to lick the clam, but unfortunately it has really high defense. So we knock it out in 3 turns with a Nightshade. Out next is Magneton, and Thundershock paralyzes us. That was kind of the worst possible luck there. Here we do finally get it to go to sleep, and I'm even going to confuse it just in case it does wake up. It's once again a 3-hitter with Nightshade. Kadabra goes Confusion, and Psybeam. We survive on 1 HP, but here we can only hit this Pokemon with Nightshade, and we get knocked out just like that. That was kind of bad luck. I honestly think we can get through this. I'm just going to try it a couple more times. This time we get a much better range on the Magneton. We're onto Kadabra. We are even faster than this Pokemon, so we can put it to sleep, and we got a very nice Gen 1 miss there from Psybeam. That was nice. And this is just an easy 3-hit KO on the Flareon, where we still have 3 PP left in the move Nightshade. But I'm going to confuse it just in case it wakes up. And now I'm going to lick it into the range where Nightshade will finish it off. So just like that, with 1 reset, we were able to beat the Rival 5 fight. One of the toughest fights in the middle game of a Pokemon solo challenge. This Pokemon's just broken. It's just completely overpowered. So now we'll move on to Jesse and James, where yet again, we don't have anything to worry about in this fight. And as we Nightshade Meowth down, that is the last time we will see Team Rocket in this playthrough. And while I am paralyzed, I'm still just going to go straight into the Giovanni fight because I don't expect this to be hard. The only move that he can possibly hit us with is Poison Sting, and since we're paralyzed, we can't actually be poisoned, which means this should be a pretty easy one to get through. The Persian is just a 3-hit KO with Nightshade, and now on Rhyhorn we can just do whatever because it only knows normal type moves. So I'm just going to keep it confused and lick it. And finally, we make it to the Nidoqueen. I'm going to put this Pokemon to sleep. I'm going to use my last Nightshade on it. And now we'll just confuse this Pokemon. And now it's just a matter of slowly licking the Queen down. So just like that, even paralyzed, we beat Giovanni on the first attempt, we level up, and we get to learn the move Dream Eater. I'm going to learn this over Lick since it's an obvious upgrade, and we can move on in the game. Turns out that the entire middle game is really no challenge when you have the most broken typing in the history of the Pokemon franchise. And now that we have a Psychic type move, I'm going to go ahead and take on Erica. Now we could have learned Psychic quite a while ago, obviously. Mr. Psychic's house is literally right there in Saffron City. I just didn't get it because we don't need it at this point, and honestly I want to keep the Psychic TM just in case for when we get to Agatha. That's the spot where having Psychic could really be good on this Pokemon, but until then, I think we're going to be able to get through with Dream Eater just fine. But let's just see if we eat the dreams of Erica here, who's been dozing off in the sun a little too long. She even apologizes for the fact that she seems to have dozed off, so let's go ahead and take an easy victory here, I think. We are affected by poison, and grass is neutrally effective, so it could be a tougher fight than I'm used to with this Gengar. So attempt number 1, we are going to put this first Tangela to sleep, and then we're going to use our Stab Dream Eater, which is a 150 base power move. Here we can now put the Weepinbell to sleep, where Dream Eater is going to be a one-hit KO. Out comes Gloom, another sleep, and another Dream Eater, and it was never in question. We completely destroy Erica on the first attempt. 44 minutes to get here. We're not exactly playing the fastest that we possibly could. Obviously, adding on strong TMs would make this a lot faster, but still, we're cruising. One reset, and that was just to rival number 5, and we are moving on in the game. So now we have to take on either Koga's gym or we have to take on Sabrina. Obviously, I'm going to go to Koga's gym. We resist all of the Psychic type moves from the jugglers, and we have a super effective move to use against Koga himself. He will use some bug type moves against us. He's not going to want to use his poison or his Psychic type moves. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do. We're going to have to see how his AI actually behaves here. But basically, we're just banking on the fact that we can heal up damage. So even if he uses something like Toxic against us, as long as we get decent Hypnosis luck, we should be able to heal up quite a bit on those Venonats and Venomoth. So after grabbing a PP up, we're going to run into Fuchsia City, and it's just time to make our way into this gym. And sure enough, we make it to Koga with no troubles, so let's just see if we can eat his dreams and gain another easy gym badge. So here against the first Venonat, we're going to put it to sleep, and now we simply go for the Stab Dream Eater, which is a one-hit KO. Second Venonat also goes to sleep, and we can eat its dream, easy victory. Third Venonat comes out, it gets another sleep, another Dream Eater, and finally we've got the Venomoth. It goes Leech Life on us. Clearly, it still thinks that move is effective, even though it's only neutrally effective. The game text says it's not very effective here. And obviously, we just need to land Hypnosis. Once it's asleep, we can Dream Eater, and that is a one-hit KO with a critical hit. I'm not sure if the crit mattered, but 47 minutes and 53 seconds, we have gotten another gym badge with no difficulties whatsoever. And just like that, we're ready to move on. We can now use Surf outside of battle, so we're going to have a way to simply go and fight Blaine if we want to. I think Blaine's going to be harder here than Sabrina though. Given the fact that we are a Psychic type, we're going to resist Sabrina's moves. I think we're already fast enough to outspeed the first Abra, so assuming that she gets put to sleep so that she can't distract our Gengar by flashing it over and over again, I think we're going to get through this just fine. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the reason why your accuracy goes down when Sabrina flashes you, because, you know. So here we are, Sabrina attempt number 1. In the anime, Ash's Haunter did defeat her by just making her laugh, so maybe my bad dad jokes will get something done here. I'm not sure. Let's try it. So first attempt against Sabrina, we put her Abra to sleep. Now we're going to go into Nightshade here. I just want to knock this one out quick. It is a 3-hit KO, but she never manages to flash us. So we've got all of our attention just on taking down our opponents here. We can put this Kadabra to sleep, but here she does manage to land Kinesis. That was kind of bad luck. And she just manages to get our accuracy way down, and we could not hit with our moves. So we lose the first attempt. So back for round 2 on Sabrina, I'm going to put her Kadabra to sleep and confuse it. So if it does wake up, it's at least got a 50-50 shot of hitting itself. And fortunately, it stays asleep, so we knock it out with Nightshade. We're on to Alakazam. She goes for an X-Defend, which is very strange, but we'll take it. And now we can confuse this Pokemon and once again go into the Nightshade spam. She is going to recover here, but we put her back to sleep, and we just need this to stay asleep for one more turn. And just like that, second attempt, we beat Sabrina. So it really wasn't hard to get through Sabrina. It just takes, not getting accuracy drops into oblivion, and you can get through perfectly fine. So 52 minutes and 14 seconds, we have 2 resets. We still have not added any TMs, no optional battles. We are absolutely cruising. So now we have no choice except to go and take on Blaine. We just have to keep progressing in the game from here. Now, the reason that I wanted to put off Blaine a little bit is because he doesn't use Smart AI in this version, and he no longer uses super potions on full health, so he can be really random. You have equal odds of him using a move like Quick Attack with his Ninetales that can't hit you, or using a move like Flamethrower that will do massive damage, and we have no way to predict that or control that. However, if we can get his Pokemon to sleep and use Dream Eater on them, I think we're going to have a pretty easy time getting through. So it's time to find out if the RNG gods are with us today in this run. Now, of course, we wouldn't need any RNG if we were using the move Tombstoner, but that's for a different run altogether. For now, let's take on Blaine for the first time and see if we can win. So first things first, we're coming in with 115 speed, which means we are faster than the Ninetales. So we just have to put this Pokemon to sleep, and then we're going into Dream Eater. It's going to be a 3-hit KO from the looks of things, but we get a crit turn 2, so we easily get through. Our next is the Rapidash. And once again, we're faster than this Pokemon. We missed the first Hypnosis, but it just used Growl, which doesn't matter to us. And we're simply going to Dream Eater it down in 2 turns. Finally, we are also faster than this final Arcanine. It hits us with a massive critical hit Flamethrower though. We missed 2 Hypnosises in a row. It used Reflect. Obviously, Reflect doesn't matter. And now that it is asleep, I'm going to be able to use Dream Eater, but we get an immediate wake up from it. So we've got to keep this Pokemon to sleep. It doesn't work. We get Fire Blasted down. So that's 1 reset on Blaine, but clearly this is a winnable fight as long as we can outspeed. So second attempt, we're once again back to the Arcanine. We put it to sleep the first turn, and we're just going to spam Dream Eater. We got a critical hit turn 1, so turn 2 we just knock it out. And once again, there's some RNG bad luck going on here because we could have beaten Rival 1 on the first attempt. We clearly could have won that fight on the first attempt. Sabrina was probably the most truly luck-based one where it could have gone either way, but 3 resets up to this point really isn't that bad in a solo challenge, especially considering that we're running on 0 DVs. We're proving that the Ghost Psychic typing is pretty darn OP. But now we're moving on to the gym where I actually think we're going to have the biggest improvement compared to a normal Gengar. That, of course, is Giovanni's gym, because in a normal run, we are weak against ground-type moves, and Pokemon Yellow actually has Giovanni using ground-type moves. With the exception of only his Persian, every single Pokemon on this team knows Earthquake. The first Dugtrio knows Dig and Fissure as well, but what that means is that effectively, in a normal run, you're really hoping not to get Earthquaked here by Giovanni, because we will not be faster, I don't believe, than the first Dugtrio. Here, however, we don't have a weakness to that move, so we might be able to survive a single Earthquake. And as long as we can outspeed and get the sleep, I think we're going to be just fine against these Pokemon. So it's simply time to find out if we can get through this or not. Giovanni, attempt number 1. So Giovanni's Doug Trio is going to be faster than us, and it misses Fissure turn 1. So that was definitely good luck right there. It stays asleep so we can Dream Eater it, and that is a one-hit KO. The Persian can't do anything to a Ghost-type Pokemon, so we're just going to use Nightshade over and over again. Even if it double teams, we should be able to take this one down eventually. It is a 4-hit KO with Nightshade though. But finally it does go down, and now we should be faster than everything else. We're going to put Nidoqueen to sleep and Dream Eater this Pokemon. Is a one-hit KO. Nidoking's out next. It also goes to sleep and gets Dream Eatered. This one is a 2-hitter, however, so I'm just going to finish it off with a Nightshade. We level up to level 45, and now we put the Rhydon to sleep. Rhydon has fairly low special, so we're just going to go for Dream Eater here. And this is a 2-hitter, but he doesn't wake up, and we beat Giovanni on the first attempt. Now, a normal Gengar would be just as fast as this, but it's just the fact that if you miss any hypnosis in that entire fight, you are guaranteed that you're getting hit by an earthquake and you are dead. In this case, however, we never even really got to see the range because we just landed all of the hypnosises. So 59 minutes to beat all 8 gyms, and we are on to the Elite Four with only 3 resets so far. We have good TMs still in the bag. We've got Psychic, we've got Thunderbolt. We're probably going to learn Thunderbolt for Lorelei. We'll see if we need it or not. But just like that, we can move on, and it's time to take on rival number 6 as kind of a preview of what we're looking at in the final stages of this challenge. Now, Rival 6 leads off with his Sand Slash. We're simply going to put this Pokemon to sleep, and once again, it only knows the move Poison Sting to affect a ghost, so it's a pretty easy one-hit KO. Execute comes out second, and we missed the first Hypnosis, so it managed to hit us with Stun Spore. That was very bad luck. And now we have nothing better than Nightshade here in order to knock this Pokemon out. Cloyster's out next. It goes Aurora Beam, which did very good damage, and now it's going Withdraw. Unfortunately, we're getting really bad paralysis luck here, but once we can hit it, we're going to heal back all of our health with a single Dream Eater, but then it gets another Aurora Beam. So we're going now into Magneton on slightly less than full health. Fortunately, Magneton goes to sleep, and we're going to heal up very nicely off of this Pokemon. The Kadabra comes out, it goes Reflect, and then Psychic. But we do manage to put it to sleep here, and now we're going to go with Nightshade on it. This one appears to be a 3-hit KO. Unfortunately, we're just getting terrible paralysis luck. Remember, it's 1 in 4 to be fully paralyzed, and we were fully paralyzed like 4 turns in a row, so we lose the first attempt. So back for the next attempt, we get this time Leech Seed rather than getting paralyzed, which might be an improvement just because we can heal back damage. So we knock out the Execute this time, and Cloyster goes for Withdraw, but once we get it asleep, we're going to be faster this time, so we can go into Dream Eater knowing that we're going to be able to heal back some damage, and we knock it out the next turn. Out next is the Magneton, and it uses Thunder Wave to paralyze us. I should have gone for Hypnosis turn 1, I did not. And now we are losing some HP, and it keeps waking up immediately, so we go down a second time. The third time might be the charm though, because we put Execute to sleep immediately, and we get Magneton to sleep on the first turn. So this time we have no status whatsoever as we go into the enemy Kadabra. Kadabra gets put to sleep on turn 1 and straight into the Nightshades. It's a 3-hit KO to knock that Pokemon out. Finally, he has his Flareon, and we are faster than this Pokemon. So as long as we can keep it asleep, which is not guaranteed, we can now go into the Dream Eater, and it turns out to be a 3-hit KO. We'll just use a Nightshade to finish it off. And finally, it took 3 attempts, but we did manage to beat rival number 6. So that shows that we might not be in for a super smooth run here with the Elite Four, because keep in mind, these are the strongest trainers in the entire game. And at this point, we're kind of running into a point where we're not just completely overpowered enough to one-shot things, and we can actually be damaged by most of our opponent's moves. Especially here in Pokemon Yellow, where they actually improved the movesets of these trainers, it's not like anything is a guaranteed free victory, so we are going to have to really think about the strategy that we want to use. In all honesty though, Stab Dream Eater might be more than good enough, given the fact that it's going to be a 150 power move effectively against just about everything, and for anything that it's not good against, we're getting to a high enough level that Nightshade should do really good damage. So I think a lot of this is just going to come down to hypnosis luck, and it might not be worth learning any TMs in this one whatsoever. Now, since this isn't strictly speaking a speed run, we're really going for minimum battles here, I will go to the power plant and get access to both the Thunder TM as well as the extra rare candy that are over here. But with that out of the way, I'm just going to buy a few full restores, and with that, we are ready to move on into the Elite Four. Let's see how they go. So Lorelei attempt number 1, we're simply going to put this dugong to sleep. We want it to stay asleep, of course. And then we can simply go into Dream Eater here. And this is appearing to be a 3-hit KO. We got a critical hit turn 2 though, so we knocked it out in just 2 turns. Now Cloyster does clamp us, but we are faster. As long as we can keep it asleep, we should be able to heal back most of this damage. Once again, it is a 2-hit KO and it easily goes down. Slowbro's out next. It goes for Surf. Surf did very decent damage there, and she's not going to use Amnesia or Psychic here because of the fact that we are a Psychic type Pokemon. Fortunately, yet again, we can go for Dream Eater in order to heal back HP, so after her Super Potion, we actually get all the way back to full health. Now, we are faster than Jinx. It did land 1 Ice Punch on us, but I'm just going to stick with Dream Eater here and just see. And now I'll use Nightshade in order to take it down in just a couple more hits. And since we're faster, her Super Potions don't really matter. We can just keep her asleep and knock her out with Nightshade. We level up to level 48, and now Lapras is only going to use the move Confuse Ray against us because we are a ghost type. So we just have to hope to not knock ourselves out in confusion. We finally get this Pokemon to sleep, and we're going to Dream Eater to recover some health. And this one appears to be a 3-hit KO. And just like that, we beat Lorelei on the first attempt. No rare candies used, and no changes to our moveset. We still haven't learned a single TM, and we are cruising. And now we've got a hiker standing in front of us. I don't think he's going to cause any trouble, but let's find out. So here against a Rock Snake, we're simply going to put this Pokemon to sleep, and Onix doesn't have great HP, so I'm just going to Nightshade it down. Now Rock Slide can do decent damage here, but really it's nothing to worry about. Out next is the Hitmonchan. We want to put this Pokemon to sleep and Dream Eater it. That is a 1-hit KO. Out next is Hitmonlee. It goes for Double Team, but we do manage to put it to sleep and Dream Eater it, so it goes down. And now we basically just want to confuse these Pokemon and Nightshade them down. Onix is an easy 3-hitter. And finally, we have this Machamp that cannot hit a ghost. So we're simply going to use our remaining Nightshades and keep this Pokemon confused, hoping that it hits itself in confusion because we don't quite do enough damage to knock it out. And he keeps X defending, which is actually a good strategy here because he's going to do less damage, but he does knock himself out in the end. So just like that, Bruno, he was never a question. We easily won that fight. So now it's just time to take on Agatha. We're going to save the game. We're just going to slam an elixir so that we actually have some PP. And it's time to see if we can beat the original Ghost Trainer of Generation 1. But of course, Agatha's gonna claim that we're playing dirty tricks because unlike her, our Gengar is Psychic type. She's still got the Poison typing. Haha, it's because I'm special. So here we can put this Gengar to sleep and Dream Eater, and it took it way down to low health. Then Nightshade finishes it off. We put the Golbat to sleep, and here a single Dream Eater is a 1-hit KO. We get to level 50. Haunter goes to sleep. We can now Dream Eater this one down. Arbok is going for Screech and Acid. Oh, she's dropping Acid, guys. But we finally do get her to sleep, and we can Dream Eater this one down. And now she's got her final Gengar. It goes for Psychic, but that is a resisted move because of the fact that we are a Psychic type. So here we can put this Pokemon to sleep, and now it's into our own Dream Eaters here, and we'll just use a Nightshade to finish it off. And just like that, Agatha was no trouble. We have no resets on the Elite Four so far. We have made it all the way to Lance. Obviously, the smart strategy would be to learn like Thunderbolt here since he's got flying Pokemon. I don't think we need it. I think we're going to be perfectly fine to get through this fight with our current moveset. So let's just see how good our Stab Dream Eater is against the Dragon Trainer. Now, this is the fight that caused me to do this in Pokemon Yellow rather than Pokemon Red and Blue, because in Red and Blue, outside of the Gyarados, all of his Pokemon only know normal type moves, which couldn't hit a ghost, so it would be completely uninteresting. However, here he is going to know things like Ice Beam, Thunder, Fire Blast, Fly, etc. So here we do manage to put the first Gyarados to sleep. I'm going to Dream Eater this Pokemon, and this is a 3-hit KO. We'll just Nightshade it down from there. We level up to level 51 as we go into the first Dragonair, and it is Thunderbolting us. But we do manage to put it to sleep. I'm going to Dream Eater since we're not on full health. We recover all of our HP. Out next, a second Dragonair. I think it's time for just another Dream Eater. It's not quite a one-hitter, but here we can use Nightshade to finish it off. Aerodactyl is faster than us, but it goes to sleep and then immediately wakes up, and it's using Wing Attack. We took a lot of damage, but we can fortunately heal just about all of it up, and I'm going to use Nightshade to just finish this Pokemon off, but he uses a Hyper Potion. That is not what I wanted to see, but he does stay asleep, so we do manage to knock him out without any further damage. And now at level 52, we've made it to the Dragonite, where we can put this one to sleep. We are faster. Dream Eater looks to be a 3-hit KO. He could Hyper Potion here, but I'm just going to use the Nightshade to finish him off. And just like that, we have beaten all 4 Elite Four members with no rare candies and no resets. We have completely crushed this section of the game, 11 rare candies sitting in the bag, and we are on to the champion. So I'm just going to spam my elixirs in order to get as much PP as I can, and for the sake of argument, I'm even going to just PP up in some of my moves. I'm going to put the PP ups into Hypnosis, just because I don't want to run out of Hypnosis PP in this fight. And now I'm going to attempt to beat the champion with no rare candies and perhaps no resets on the entire Elite Four. Let's see if we can get it done. So champion attempt number 1. Now this Sandslash does know Earthquake, so it does actually have a move to use against us here, but we put it to sleep. We're just going to Dream Eater. This is going to be a 2-hitter, but I'm just going to Nightshade it down from there. Out comes Alakazam. It goes Kinesis. That's probably about the worst thing that it could have done, but it does go to sleep, and we're going to Nightshade it. Once again, this should be a 3-hit KO if we can just manage to hit. It wakes up and Psychics us down to 69 HP, and now we get Leech Seeded by the Exeggutor. I think we have to go for some Dream Eaters here in order to recover some health. We do manage to get through though, and we healed quite a bit. So now it's just a question of can we get through these remaining Pokemon with Leech Seed on, in spite of the fact that we are also having lower accuracy. Unfortunately, we miss a Hypnosis here, and we go down on the first attempt. So the real issue there was just that we were slower than the Alakazam. We could rare candy to change that and be faster, but I'm going to try this again as we are. In this second attempt, the Alakazam goes for Psychic turn 1 rather than Kinesis, and we even get a second Psychic with a special drop, but we do manage to knock that Pokemon out. Now we put Exeggutor to sleep on the first turn, and even with lower special, I am going to use Dream Eater here. Still, we get Leech Seeded once again, but we have our accuracy fully intact. So now we get back to the same Magneton at level 53, but we can put this Magneton to sleep this time. Dream Eater, and even with a slightly lowered special stat, this appears to be a 4-hit KO. We put it back to sleep after it wakes up, and I'm just Dream Eatering to keep my HP high. Now that it wakes up on low health, I'm just going to Nightshade it down, and out comes the Cloyster. Ice Beam did massive damage, and unfortunately we couldn't survive after that as the Leech Seed took us out. 2 attempts later, we're back to Exeggutor and we get through on full health with no status. We miss 1 Hypnosis on the Magneton, but fortunately it gets to sleep the next turn, so we heal up all the way to full HP onto the Cloyster, which we actually hit with Hypnosis this time. Dream Eater one-shots with a critical hit. We're onto the Flareon. It hits a Flamethrower after we missed the first Hypnosis, and it immediately wakes up and it goes for Fire Spin. And we just barely missed. If we had put this Pokemon to sleep, I think we had the win. So this one is clearly possible. It's just a matter of getting the right Hypnosis luck. But unfortunately, the resets are starting to rack up now. We do manage to get back to the Magneton on full health here, though, and put it to sleep turn 1. So we can now knock it out with a Nightshade in just a couple turns. Out comes the Cloyster, we put it to sleep, and Dream Eater, and this is going to be a 2-hit KO without a crit. Finally, on the Flareon, it goes to sleep this time, and now we Dream Eater. It does slightly less than half. We Dream Eater again, but he stays asleep, and just like that, an hour 25 minutes, we get to level 54, and we've beaten the champion on minimum battles with no rare candies and no TMs with this Pokemon. And keep in mind, this is a 0 DVs Gengar, the worst possible Gengar, and even with that, the Ghost Psychic typing turns out to be so completely overpowered that we are able to completely crush the game. And as the rival questions why he lost in the end, it's pretty clear. It's because we completely broke the game with this typing. That's clearly the reason why Game Freak couldn't give Gengar what I think was actually the most appropriate typing for the Pokemon in the original game. But honestly, that was just a lot of fun to see how broken it actually could be. And so now let's just finish this off in style. Let's go ahead and beat up on Mewtwo because Mewtwo might have been the perfect Gen 1 Pokemon, but it never met a Psychic Ghost type. So I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think. Would this Pokemon be the most dominant competitive Pokemon in Generation 1 with this typing? I mean, we know Gengar's already really good, but with this typing, I think that it would have basically hard-walled all of the meta in Gen 1. Because think about it, I mean, Stab, Psychic, plus Sleep, plus Speed, plus really good stats, it would no longer be checked by things like Psychic and Earthquake, so it would basically be free to just run Roughshod over the entire meta. Tauros would have to move over for this Pokemon, I think. Anyway, let's test out how we do against a Mewtwo that is, you know, only 16 levels higher than us. We're going to start by, of course, putting this Pokemon to sleep. I'm going to confuse it just for good measure. And now let's just Nightshade it. So he wakes up and hits himself in confusion, and then he recovers, which is not what we wanted to see. We want him to stay asleep for a nice long time. He tries to Psychic us. Fortunately, that means nothing to our Gengar. And just like that, we beat him on the first attempt. So the legendary Saigar has beaten the entire game at level 54, no rare candies used, no vitamins used, minimum battles, and it really wasn't that bad. We finished with 89 attack, 83 defense, 137 speed, 159 special. You can see the stats with the badge boosts over there on the left side, and with no TMs even used. We completely crushed the game of Pokemon Yellow. Anyway, I thought that was just kind of a fun thing to do for Halloween. You guys tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys, I guess, in the next one later.